Tonight, it is truly my pleasure to deliver my third annual State of the City address. In addition to members of City Council, several city government staff members, and citizens who are attending the meeting tonight, both here in person as well as will be viewing at a later time by video. Welcome. I am delighted that my report will also be presented on City TV, the internet, and mycitytv.com. And it's not really My City TV, but that's the address for it. As well as it's going to be posted on the city's website with an embedded video link. Now, we've had a very busy, productive, positive year in Douglasville, and through our communications department and the local news media, we want our message to reach as many people as possible. Last year's State of the City address followed a different format than what I'll use tonight. Last year, I organized my report under 7 topics: economic development, community life, public safety, community services and facilities infrastructure, education, and fiscal stability. As I make my annual report tonight, I shall touch in some way on each of these topics. However, my approach and the organization of my presentation will be different. The central theme, though, remains unchanged. We are working together to help make Douglasville one of the premier places in America to live, work, play, raise a family, and be all we can be. Be all that we can be. In my opinion, Douglasville is already a great and remarkable place to live. And we are continuing our work to make it even better. As I move into the final year of my first 4-year term as mayor of this great city, I am more determined than ever to maintain a clear vision for quality growth and development and to have a safe community. And we're committed to that, as I'll talk to in a little bit. I believe this State of the City address will help you see how we are moving forward in that direction. I shall focus on 6 subjects which I believe set the tone in 2014 for our community's current condition and future prospects. Now, let us begin. Service Delivery Strategy Agreement and Implementation Plan. It's a mouthful. After more than 18 months of discussion, negotiation, and court-ordered mediation, the governments of Douglas County and Douglasville, over the Christmas holidays, agreed to and signed a new 10-year service delivery strategy agreement. Each local government in Georgia is required by the state to have a current service delivery strategy agreement. And this plan is to identify which local government will provide a specific service in a specific geographic area and how the cost of delivering that service will be paid. We now have a new service delivery strategy, better known as SDS agreement, and a plan for Douglasville, Douglas County, and those parts of Villa Rica and Austell located within Douglas County. And this agreement will extend through calendar year 2024. 2024, that's 10 years from now, unless amended at some future point. Developing an acceptable service delivery strategy for more than 50 government services is not a simple, unemotional task. Your elected officials are trying to do what they believe is best for the communities that they have been elected to serve. in this case primarily being Douglasville or Douglas County, and to a lesser degree both Villa Rica or Austell. I can testify tonight that this is a difficult, complicated, and very time-consuming process, which can sometimes produce some serious disagreements. Now keep in mind, though, that the decisions can have a multi-million-dollar impact on a community's taxpayers over the next decade. Each of your local elected municipal and county officials could probably point with displeasure to a few specific parts of the new SDS agreement. However, I believe all of us would conclude that the new 10-year service delivery strategy agreement is fair and should provide a firm groundwork for the effective and efficient funding and delivery of service in this community over the next decade. Final approval of the new service delivery strategy plan came through action by the Douglasville City Council on December the 23rd and by the Douglas County Board of Commissioners on December the 26th. See, I told you, we were working over the Christmas holidays very diligently. Now, let me point out that perhaps the two documents which are most important in guiding the future quality growth and development of our community are the SDS plan and the comprehensive plan. We now have both of these plans in place to assist the city of Douglasville in maintaining a clear vision for quality growth and development while maintaining a safe community. As mentioned previously, the SDS agreement encompasses more than 50 specific services which are going to be delivered by our local governments. Douglasville and Douglas County officials rather quickly reached an agreement on most of these, including in the areas of law enforcement, prisoner housing, and economic development. The major areas of disagreement were in protection services, fire protection services, animal control services, and road services. In fact, because our governments did not have a new SDS agreement in place before the old one expired on June the 30th, 2014, and because the County Board of Commissioners decided not to seek an extension to the old agreement, the state of Georgia imposed sanctions on both governments. So no new grants, permits, or other state aid could be authorized until a new SDS plan and agreement had been approved by the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. Now, with both governments' December approvals and with the subsequent filing of the new SDS plan with the state, we expect these sanctions to be lifted, effective February the 1st of this year, hopefully within a few days. Concerning the three service areas where city and county officials had the most difficulty in reaching an agreement, let me briefly report. Number one, fire protection service. Within the city limits of Douglasville, these services have been provided by the county fire department, who I might add does a tremendous job providing fire protection to our community. Outstanding emergency responders in defending fire in our community. They've been doing this for some 27 years for the city under an agreement or an intergovernmental agreement that was agreed to back over 27 years ago when the city and the county fire departments combined to form the Douglas County Fire Department. But over the years, an increasing level of funding has come from insurance premium tax revenues being collected only in the unincorporated Douglas County area. And as a result, city residents and businesses have been paying a decreasing portion of the cost of fire protection services. Having received this explanation, we told our county colleagues that the city of Douglasville had no problem paying more for the protection services in the future, as long as it was no more than our fair share or proportionate share of the county's population based on the city's percentage of the total county population. Now, accordingly, the new 10-year agreement put into effect on January the 1st, 2015, calls for the city of Douglasville to pay $1,600,000 annually to the County Board of Commissioners for fire protection services inside the city limits of Douglasville. In return, no property tax revenues collected by the county government on properties located within our city limits are to be used to pay for fire protection services. Thus, there will be no double taxation, which is what we were seeking. We were working to achieve tax equity, both for the incorporated and the unincorporated areas of our county, and we believe we have moved closer to achieving that objective. To conclude this part of my report, let me note, number one, the City Council in June 2014 increased the millage rate tax by a .931 mil to generate the city's share of funding for fire protection services and animal control services for the 6-month period starting January 1, 2015. As part of the budget process this spring, we will decide how to fund these services for the second half of calendar 2015. Within the next 4 years, we expect a countywide special purpose local option sales tax. Again, another acronym, SPLOST, referendum. Up to $20 million was agreed to in the agreement that could be sought to fund the purchase of needed fire department equipment and fire stations. If approved, the city would assume responsibility for the proportionate share of the SPLOST indebtedness based on population percentage. Number three, emergency medical services are paid for through a separate budget, with the revenue sources being user fees and a countywide property tax levy. The city of Douglasville receives insurance premium tax revenues collected just within the city limits. And these funds are placed in the city's general fund and are subsequently budgeted for various purposes as allowed by state statute. Animal control services. The new agreement calls for the city to pay the County Board of Commissioners $250,000 annually for the next 10 years for animal control services. To prevent any double taxation, no taxes paid to the County Board of Commissioners on properties located within the city of Douglasville are to be used to pay for animal control services. Also, all funding for the new shelter facilities will come from revenue sources in unincorporated Douglas County. And as a result, the city will have no ownership share in those facilities. Road services. Douglas County government has assumed the responsibility for the cost of maintenance, operations, and construction activities on 6 roads within the corporate limits of Douglasville. The city will continue to have police and law enforcement powers on these 6 roads, which are Hospital Drive, Chicago Avenue, Riverside Parkway, Chapel Hill Road, Presley Mill Road, and Cedar Mountain Road. For 13 other streets that are located totally or partially within the city limits. Douglas County has agreed under the new Service Delivery Strategy Agreement to provide assistance to the city's street system in the areas of traffic signal maintenance, traffic studies, traffic sign maintenance, and traffic control through the use of the county's Traffic Control Center services in the same manner that it provides such services for the countywide road system. The 13 streets are Douglas Boulevard, Rose Avenue, Slater Mill Road, Malone Road, Cave Springs Road, Central Church Road, John West Road, Blair's Bridge Road, Bright Star Road, South Flat Rock, Stewart Mill Road, Timber Ridge Drive, and West Stewart Mill Road. One overall impact, I believe, will be a closer working relationship on all aspects of transportation between the two governments. This new agreement will also provide greater tax equity to our citizens. Now, this final part of my service delivery strategy report to you, roads, provides an easy transition to my next topic. Transportation, something that's near and dear to all of our hearts. Basically, in this state of the city address, I want to focus on one specific project, namely Georgia Highway 92. But before I do, let me point to two other very important transportation projects which are now underway and which are part of the city's overall transportation plan. The most congested interchange in Douglasville is I-20 and Georgia Highway 5. The city's persistence at the Atlanta Regional Commission, better known as the ARC, of which I and the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, Tom Wortham, are both members, finally got the ball rolling on a major upgrade of this interchange. At the end of calendar year 2014, consultants funded through the Georgia Department of Transportation, with a small required local match being paid by this city government, were getting close to completing work on a comprehensive alternative analysis to determine the best approach to dealing with this bottleneck. We eagerly await the outcome of this report. As the transportation consultants look at the I-20 Georgia Highway Bright Star or Highway 5 Bright Star Road situation, noted it previously, they also are taking a preliminary look at what can be done to improve the Interstate 20 interchange with Chapel Hill Road. I expect us to hear more about this as we move forward into 2015. But the focus for a long time has been, as was said a little bit earlier, on the improvement project for Georgia Highway 92. Near the downtown area, including the railroad crossing. After almost 3 decades of disappointments, state and federal directives to redraw engineering plans over and over and over and over, funding difficulties, environmental and air quality issues, and that old favorite thing, red tape. The city of Douglasville received the green light for construction of the Georgia Highway 92 relocation and improvement project after 3 decades. But a lot of people have been persistent over those 3 decades. You heard some of the names, and there are a lot of other names that were unmentioned that have been persistent with this project. Groundbreaking ceremonies were held on August 29th in Jesse Davis Park, and by the end of the calendar year 2014, a drive through the city's north side and Mill Village communities clearly confirm that this major road construction project is underway. In addition to being an extremely important transportation project in Douglasville, the start of Georgia Highway 92 relocation and improvement project represents yet another milestone public construction project in recent years for this community. Taking its place with such other projects as the public safety and municipal court complex, this conference center that we're in tonight, in the heart of beautiful downtown Douglasville, and the Douglas County Courthouse and Jail. The Highway 92 relocation is a 3.106 mile, 6-lane road project with an overall price tag exceeding $111 million. Folks, that's a lot of money to a little country boy. It includes the first railroad grade separation crossing within the city, which for the first time, will mean trains passing through Douglasville or just stopped on the tracks will not cause a lengthy and possibly even life-threatening delays for the north-south bound motorists that use that highway every day. The new highway will have its southern terminus on Fairburn Road near Durley Lane and the Chick-fil-A, and its northern terminus on Dallas Highway near Malone Road, and the relocation moves the road away from downtown and moves it to the east side of Mill Village community. Construction is scheduled to be completed in 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, that's less than 3 years. That's moving. Participating in the groundbreaking with the City of Douglasville officials were representatives from the Georgia Department of Transportation, ARC, as well as David Scott, who championed this project in Washington, D.C., state legislators representing our Senate and House of Representatives. But David Scott championed this project in Washington to obtain the needed federal funding from GDOT and ARC. Congressman Scott, community leaders at all levels, local, state, federal, but local officials throughout the state and our nation came together, working closely over the past 4 years to complete this planning process. Verification of the positive working relationship on this project clearly is evident by the fact that the Highway 92 project in 2014, as you heard earlier, won the Grand Prize Award for the Georgia Partnership for Transportation Quality. And as you know, tonight, just prior to me starting the State of the City address, you saw GDOT officials presenting this award to the City of Douglasville. And I personally, as mayor, but personally, as a citizen living in this community, want to applaud all of you who work together. See, that's very important. Work together to move this project to the construction phase. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes all of us working together. And if we work together, it's amazing what can get accomplished. As I told you earlier, a man told me it won't happen. But there were a lot of people working and praying together, and it happened. It's amazing what this community has already gotten accomplished and what we will accomplish moving forward. Now, during the past 3 years, some $43 million was spent on right-of-way acquisition for this project. Utility relocation cost and construction costs are expected to total some $65.5 million. The city has already spent some $3 million during the past decade on required preliminary engineering and environmental assessments. Once completed, the north-south travel through Douglasville will be much quicker, much safer, and without the current headaches of dealing with the trains and the train tracks and the life safety issues that it creates. Furthermore, I believe construction of this new road will open new economic development opportunities for Douglasville, especially on the north side. Now, let me report to you on the quality new jobs which are coming to our community. Economic development. 2014 was a very successful year for the city of Douglasville and its development authority, both in terms of new investment in our community by industries and businesses, and in terms of jobs creation. In a report I made last March, I noted announcements were made in recent months by the Development Authority, which stated that in 2014, a total capital investment of some $210 million and ultimately approximately 900 new well-paying, not $6, $7, $8 an hour jobs, but well-paying jobs would be located within the city limits of Douglasville. These include the catalog sales and distribution facility of McMaster-Carr, the expansion of the current facilities for health and medical care products, and manufacturer Medline construction of these facilities for food and distributor of Gordon Foods, and the construction of BioLife for the collection of high quality plasma for life-saving therapies. BioLife opened in late 2014, and the other 3 projects are scheduled to be completed this year. This year. These are not pipe dreams, folks. These are real things that are happening right now and will be opening this year. Also, the city worked within the state of Georgia and the Development Authority of Douglas County on bringing an additional 500 jobs into the city of Douglasville. Governor Deal made this exciting announcement on June the 19th, and we're looking forward to Keurig moving into an existing building within our city and county. During 2014, the City and County Development Authority worked together on a number of economic development projects which have the potential of bringing many more quality jobs to our community. The city continues to pursue economic development opportunities in the entertainment industry, and several television shows and movie productions have already occurred here in our community in 2014. Activities to facilitate expansion of current industries and businesses, both small and large, continue to be an important part of the City Development Authority's agenda. Through the city's Downtown Development Authority and Main Street program, we are working with local businesses to continue growth and development in and near the Central Business District. Even during the economic downturn of the past few years, the occupancy rate of downtown Douglasville has remained strong. Late in 2014, construction started on a new restaurant on Church Street adjacent to this conference center and parking deck right here. Now, let me note at this point, this conference center had its best year to date and is being recognized more and more and more for the new anchor that it is for the downtown business district. As a matter of fact, our caterer, Proof in the Pudding, who is the largest independently owned catering company in the Atlanta metropolitan area who has venues such as the World Congress Center, the Aquarium, the Jimmy Carter Center, had over 80 people in their leadership conference in our conference center right here today. Best year ever. And there's some great people making that happen with the city of Douglasville under the leadership of Mr. Osborne, Miss Hampton, Jennifer Bean, Carlos Underwood, just to mention a few. Doing a great job. A local business owner and entrepreneur received special recognition in November. Mr. Barry Oliver was honored by the Atlanta Regional Commission during its annual State of the Region breakfast at the World Congress Center in downtown Atlanta. Along with the city of Douglasville, Mr. Oliver received ARC's Livable Centers Initiative Achievement Award for his Station Loft Works facility on Main Street, right downtown Douglasville. That development was developed in what was at one time a vacant building, where many years ago a car dealership was. Now that building houses co-working facilities for small, startup, and established businesses. Certainly this ARC recognition was a significant honor for all of us, all of you. And Station Loft Works is a model around the state of Georgia and is recognized as such for what's called adaptive reuse. See, we're putting the old buildings, you're putting the old buildings back to reuse. As an aid to economic development in eligible areas near downtown Douglasville, including on the north side and along a section of Hospital Drive, the city was able to secure state approval for an enterprise zone where tax credits could be granted to qualifying businesses for the creation of new jobs. Thus far, we have had 6 businesses receive these tax credits, with the created new jobs benefiting our community. Concerning new housing starts in Douglasville, we issued only 44 single-family permits last year, while this was a small number when compared to the 506 such permits in the peak year of 2006. Now, I think we will continue to see a somewhat slow recovery in the areas of new home starts from the damaging recession of a few years ago, but we continue to move forward with development and bringing new businesses and new jobs to supplement that. Due to the city of Douglasville's interest in and concern for the availability of housing for citizens of all income levels, we sought selection to be part of the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing, better known as GIC program. State loves acronyms, as you can see. Under the guidance of the State Department of Community Affairs, better known as DCA, we were successful and are now participating in this program. Currently, the city of Douglasville is working on and implementing goals to address the housing needs in our community. And this includes a partnership with the University of West Georgia and the Atlanta Regional Commission. We're currently doing an assessment on our housing stock and the future needs of our community. City of Douglasville wants to be one of the premier places in America to live, work, play, raise a family, and be all that we can be, regardless of the family's income level. Because you see, that's what a community is about. A community that pulls together of people and individuals of all income levels. And we're going to provide the housing for that. We want people to feel safe and comfortable, and we want to encourage them to be good neighbors. After all, it's people working together and being mutually supportive of one another that makes a community strong and a desirable place to live, work, play, and raise a family. Now, down through the years, I've observed that nothing brings out the best in a community more than a good old widespread disaster. And we certainly had one of those in 2014. And I'm going to talk briefly on that. The ice and snowstorm last January. Remember that? Or have you tried to put that out of your mind? As we all recall, though, the major ice and snowstorm which hit Douglasville, Douglas County, the metropolitan area, Atlanta area, and much of North Georgia last January the 26th, January the 28th. We're 3 days beyond, a year and 3 days beyond that. Caught everyone by surprise. Within minutes, streets and roads became dangerous and then virtually impassable. People left work to go home. Schools loaded students onto buses to run their routes. And we initially thought, a little frozen precept. It was a nice novelty. But as we all know, that changed in a matter of a few minutes. And with virtually no warning, and certainly no advanced preparations, as we've all heard, we had a serious emergency situation on our hands. Thankfully, there were no fatalities or serious injuries. You might say we dodged a lot of bullets on that Tuesday afternoon and evening and through the night as thousands of people were stranded in their vehicles on impassable highways, as hundreds of school children were stuck on buses, as people of all ages walked in frigid temperatures and along dangerous roads trying to reach home or some temporary shelter. And as first responders, and I don't have enough time to give the credit and the accolades and all that goes to the first responders and the people that responded, the record companies who thought to clear the roads of abandoned vehicles and deal with the emergency situations. But this community rallied. And I could tell you story after story. And I'm sure each and every one of you has got stories about what happened that day, that night, and on into the morning. What we heard and witnessed, direct or via the news media, were heartwarming, breathtaking examples of people helping each other. Many people already out in the cold gave a helping hand to other people in similar circumstances. The City of Douglasville Police Department did a fantastic job. And I could tell you some stories about some of the things that happened that night on into the morning up until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning that still I think about, give me chills about what our public safety responders did in our public, our maintenance department, our sanitation, our parks and rec, and our police department, various other individuals, city administration, and other departments of this local government. The Douglas County government, our county government, likewise responded in a very positive way. And I want to especially thank them and the county E911 staff and the emergency management office for their coordinated efforts with the city government. For you see, back again, people working together, community pulling together, helping each other, reaching out a hand, all of us working together. To do what? Work together and be all we can be. It's a great place to live. Quick analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of the response by the state and various local governments resulted in some immediate changes. Far more effective response occurred when another snowstorm and ice storm hit when? 2 weeks later. In follow-up, the city of Douglasville and other local governments in the metro area took steps to be better prepared for such emergencies in the future. The State Emergency Management Agency made major changes in its organization and operations, including some personnel changes. The Atlanta Regional Commission placed a greater emphasis on emergency preparedness. We did so in this city government with the police department in the lead role. Our local emergency management plan was fine-tuned as a result of our analysis of the January 2014 snow and ice storms. Continued planning and looking to the future helps us improve our unusual occurrence plans. Because you see, we're going to be prepared. We're going to be ready. And we're going to provide that public safety to our community. But you got to plan. You got to have a plan in place to do that. And we continually tweak that plan. Let me note that we recognize one of the most important foundations for having a premier place to live, work, play, and raise a family is being a safe community. And make no doubt, we're going to do that. Whether in dealing with natural disasters or dealing with individuals who threaten a community's peace of mind through criminal acts. With that having been said, let me turn now to the area of public safety and the Douglasville Police Department. I believe we have an excellent police department, staffed by men and women who are dedicated to serving the public, maintaining the peace, protecting the people and businesses from harm and danger, and apprehending those who refuse to obey our laws. For myself or any of you who read the messages sent out from E911, from our E911 center, or who listen to some of the radio traffic between this dispatch office or dispatch center and our officers, you know our personnel are committed, diligent, and usually very successful in catching those who've committed crimes against persons or property. On those occasions when our officers are not able to make an arrest, shortly after the crime has been committed, you also know our detectives and other personnel, listen to this, stay on the case. Overall, we have an excellent police department, and I believe 2014 was a very good year in Douglasville in the area of public safety. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some of the finest law enforcement professionals in the country. I put them up against anybody, anytime, anywhere. And remember, I told you about them staying on the case, and remember that. I was a victim of a property crime some 31 years ago. And 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call from one of our detectives who returned a portion of my stolen property. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's staying on the case. That's a fact, and I can back it up. In 2014, the Douglasville Police Department continued to receive accolades from around the state for its innovative, successful Youth Against Violence program. Certainly, this was one of the most highly praised programs presented in June in Savannah at the annual meeting of the Georgia Municipal Association. Under the leadership of Deputy Chief Gary Sparks and the support of Chief Chris Womack, the Youth Against Violence program meets almost every Saturday of the year, to provide very straightforward, non-watered down information on how young people can get themselves in trouble, including with law enforcement and what they need to do to avoid and guard against violence and the negative influence our youth face constantly as they're being bombarded with it. The Douglasville Police Department frequently welcomes visitors from other law enforcement agencies who want to see how our Youth Against Violence program is organized and operates. This program allows for us to be proactive in reaching the troubled youth in our community and building positive relationships with law enforcement and community. A new community-oriented policing initiative was started in 2014, identified as the DCOP program. Through flyers and social media, the department lets residents in a community know that in the late afternoon of a particular day, police officers will be going door to door to introduce themselves. They talk to the residents about ways the community and its residents can have a safer environment in which the police department can relate to them and continue to serve the community more effectively. These are some of the many ways in which we take a proactive, community-first approach to law enforcement and stressing that working together to build a better community and be all we can be. Chief Chris Womack, who's sitting right over here, and his department's command staff recognized that Douglasville's location on an interstate highway at the edge of a very large metropolitan city of Atlanta, as well as being a regional retail trade center and being only a short distance from the world's busiest international airport in the world, brings a serious challenge or serious challenges for law enforcement agencies. Working closely with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, we have several joint law enforcement units which focus on drug trafficking and other serious crimes along the Interstate 20 corridor. We are fortunate, ladies and gentlemen, to have the high level of professionalism and commitment being provided by our public safety providers and law enforcement community. I think 2014 was one of the best years in my memory for close, effective, cooperative law enforcement by our police department and the sheriff's department under the leadership of Sheriff Phil Miller. I believe we should be the model for Georgia, if not the country, on how law enforcement agencies can work together effectively, including through joint manpower units. It's hard to realize that 4 years ago, when the Douglasville Police Department moved into its current state-of-the-art public safety facility and municipal court complex on Fairburn Road, where all personnel are housed under one roof, leaving behind the several inadequate buildings downtown and moving into a new, well-equipped, state-of-the-art facility impacted our police force's mindset in a positive way. And it is with pleasure that we can look back to the move into our new facilities in 2011. But it is also with pleasure that we consider what has occurred in 2014. In response to comments from the department's command staff and the rank and file officers, the City Council changed a long-standing policy so that each police officer could have his or her own vehicle, not having that vehicle being used by another shift when the individual officer was off duty, and for that car to be his or her take-home vehicle. This gave us a new, important employee benefit to help attract and retain officers. The City Council also adopted a new retirement plan for certified police officers, enabling them to retire with full benefits upon achieving 25 years of service with the department at age 50. Responding to concerns about the starting pay for entry-level police officers and the salaries of the department's other certified officers, City of Douglasville decided with Evergreen Solutions to prepare a new compensation and classification plan, which would encompass all City of Douglasville employees. All City of Douglasville employees. Certainly we wanted to be sure that the City of Douglasville was offering a competitive compensation plan for our law enforcement personnel as compared to other local governments of the metro area. And we wanted to be sure we were doing the same thing with the city employees and other departments. The new pay plan for employee classification and compensation. I want to report briefly on the City of Douglasville's initiative in 2014 to develop a plan that would enable the city to fairly compensate all of our employees for their services. I've said on many occasions during the past 3 years that our employees are our most valuable asset. Let me say that again. Our employees are our most valuable asset. We cannot achieve the goal of Douglasville becoming one of the premier places in America to live, work, play, and raise a family unless we maintain a team of dedicated, qualified employees to deliver the services to the local residents and businesses, you, our community. Can't do it. Because you see, I get up here and get to make the speeches, but who gets the job done? They do, day in and day out. And we're going to ensure that we have a competitive pay and benefits plan to compensate them for them so that they can provide you the services that you expect and should expect. We must have a fair and equitable plan for our employees within an organizational framework, as well as letting them know clearly their respected responsibilities and expectations, and then sufficiently compensating them for their services. In 2014, we took a giant step to do this. Basically, the plan had been completed by the end of calendar year 2014 with our city government working with the personnel consulting firm of Evergreen Solutions. Implementation is underway, and full implementation could take 2 to 3 years, giving us a system which will allow us to attract and continue employing employees that will allow us to give you, our citizens and community, world-class service. Because you see, that's what we're looking for. And I might add that Mr. Fred Perry has done an excellent job as our HR director in working through this plan and helping get it implemented. Now, most public opinion polls locally and in the metropolitan area list transportation and public safety as the top priority concerns of our citizens when people are talking about local government. Education also ranks at the top of this list. And I'm pleased we have a local school superintendent and Board of Education who are committed to building and maintaining a quality school system for our children. And we will continue to support their efforts and provide provide an outstanding educational system. Now, with closing comments, bear with me. Obviously, I have not talked about all components of city government during this annual State of the City address. However, without reporting on details, let me close with what I would call snapshot reports on some other city government activities in 2014. City Parks and Recreation Department, under the leadership of Mr. Bennett Oliver and his staff, had a very busy youth baseball year at Hunter Park, with several tournaments bringing literally thousands of out-of-town visitors to Douglasville. I think one tournament we had as many as 10,000 people here over a weekend period. And this happens over and over and over. Douglasville youth football at Jesse Davis Park with another championship season, and congratulations on that. For the Tiger Cubs, youth soccer at Fowler Field. A record-setting, listen to this, a record-setting year at West Pines Golf Club, and many other recreational activities involving all age groups. We now have, I don't need a show of hands, but anybody know what Frisbee golf is? I didn't. But let me tell you something. It's huge. It's practiced worldwide. And we now have a new Frisbee golf course, which was constructed and opened in Hunter Park. Long-awaited improvements were started in the Wheeling Workers Community Park on the north side, formerly known as Keith Park, with renaming ceremonies which were held on November the 12th. Outdoor basketball and other improvements were completed in the Mill Village Park, and we continue to upgrade our computer lab at Jesse Davis Park, thus allowing us to provide computer training to the youth and the adults using this park. The City Maintenance and Sanitation Department had an outstanding year. Director Greg Roberts and his staff go about their business in a low-key way and have a record of solid public service. However, you let one of that department's employees miss one house during the course of a full day's work when residential garbage and trash are being picked up at some of the over 3,000 locations, and we'll hear about it before the sun sets, I can assure you. It doesn't happen very often, though. Very seldom does it happen. That's a testament to the job that's done every day, day in and day out. Rain or shine, sleet or snow, by our Maintenance and Sanitation Department. No group of city employees is more in the spotlight or does better work than our sanitation service workers. The same is true with our maintenance workers, whether keeping a street right-of-way looking good or making sure the city's cemetery remains attractive or filling potholes in an expeditious manner. The excellent performance of our finance department under the leadership of Ms. Karen Callan was verified by the fact that once again, City of Douglasville received recognition from the National Government Finance Officers Association for excellence in financial reporting, as announced by, again, they love acronyms, GFA, after reviewing the city's annual audit report. Our communications department, who, if you're watching this now via some of the mediums that I mentioned earlier when I first started, they're televising, they're recording, it'll be on the internet, and it'll be on the various other social mediums that are available. Our communications department, who does an excellent job, who is helping us with this State of the City address, seeing that it gets recorded, under the direction of Miss Kelly Hunter and her fine staff. did a great job in 2014 in providing our residents and businesses with information on what is happening in this community and its local government. City TV continued to be one of Georgia's top, and when I say top, as recognized by the state of Georgia, by the Georgia Municipal Association, one of the top government access stations. To show you the diversified reach of Douglasville's communications department, let me first note that this department has expanded its operations to include administration of the city's website and serves our community with an average of over 17,000 website visits a month. Where are those going? Just to Douglasville? Just to the state? Nationally? Or worldwide? Because you see, somebody can click on the internet, pull up the city of Douglasville, anywhere in the world, and we're getting 17,000 website visits a month. And when you hear me say I want to see us be one of the premier places in America to live, work, play, and raise a family, these are the things that are going to help make that happen. In December, this department launched an intranet communications tool as part of a comprehensive internal communication plans for the city. And by years in 2014, City TV's YouTube channel had received, listen to this, over 162,000 views on the program content produced by our communications department. The World Wide Web outreach of this department is providing media deliverables to not only our local community, but to a global audience as well. Folks, for 162,000 YouTube hits, somebody out there is watching what's going on in Douglasville. And it's this community working together to make it one of the premier places in America. And they're noticing. This city council worked effectively through the year. Councilman Larry Yockley completed 3 years of very good service as mayor pro tem. And then the council elected a new mayor pro tem at the start of the 2015 year. Councilman, now Mayor Pro Tem Carl Pope, with the unanimous support of the council, was elected our new Mayor Pro Tem. And I might add, though, he was nominated by Councilman Yockley. That's a council working together, folks. I'd be remiss if I did not include in this annual report the longtime city clerk, Miss Joyce Stone, retired after many years of faithful service. And she was succeeded by staff member who is now our Madam City Clerk, Miss Vicki Aker. I'm humbled, truly humbled, and thankful, and thank you for the opportunity of presenting Douglasville's State of the Union, State of the City report. And I want to thank our city manager, Mr. Osborne, our assistant city manager, Ms. Hampton, for the fine job that they do in providing leadership to the people that I've mentioned and the departments I've mentioned. Because you see, it takes people working together and leadership, and they provide that. And the department heads provide that to their individual departments to get the job done, to provide you the services. Now, we have plans in place for moving Douglasville forward so it can achieve our and your vision and goal of being one of the premier places in America to live, work, play, and raise a family in a safe community while working together to be all we can be. And I conclude by saying that we invite you, our community, and our citizens and our businesses to join us in making this happen. For you see, we are one of the premier places in America to live, work, play, and raise a family. We're going to have a safe community. And we're going to be all we can be. And we're all going to help make it happen, working together. May God bless this great city, you, and your family. And thank you for the opportunity to be able to present this State of the City address to you tonight. God bless you. Thank you.